I would put those three together.
Oh, that would be a great. That is hip hop right there.
That
right?
is. Well, I don't know if it's hip, but
but it's hopping.
It's hopping.
It's so
for sure.
that is a great segue to start episode 335.
So close.
6.
Wait, is it 34?
4?
I think it's 34.
It's so close. Que no close if you
Well,
don't
you
know.
said 35, so I think it's 34.
I think it's 35.
Let's find out, shall we? Because I honestly,
I'm episode 334.
34. I was putting a total blank.
Les 134.
Oui.
C'est la vérité.
Oui.
So,
È vero.
oui. So, bienvenue, tout le monde. Pero, let me tell you. You know what's funny? Bienvenue. I had my French.
Your hat.
My French.
You had your chapeau.
My chapeau français.
Your chapeau français.
Dans ma tête. You know that song Alouette?
Yeah.
Alouette, je
Yeah.
Do you know what they're doing to the bird in that?
Oh, están desplumando un pájaro.
Están
¿verdad?
desplumando pajarriaco.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody, welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You. And for those of us watching us, today is the perfect epitome of who we are as people. I have multiple layers on, while he looks like he's going to the beach.
Yes, I do.
And give him 2 bottles of water, and the shirt may be coming off.
Yeah, I mean, look, if there's a platform, then I can't.
Right.
I can't be held responsible for my
Meanwhile,
actions.
where's the trench coat and the parka? Because I'm ready to, cover it up here.
Yeah, you're not seeing. He actually came in wearing a hazmat suit, and he's stripped down.
No, you got to do it for the cameras.
You have to. Yeah.
So how is everybody this weekend?
Yes. Well, I think everybody's doing good. I mean, we're in March. I think.
It's St. Patrick's Day on Monday.
It is St. Patrick's Day on Monday.
You know how we're always laughing at St. Patrick's Day because of the dollar store?
Yeah. So that means that you can't go get your shamrock.
So, funny story. Today I was talking to some Cubans.
So far that tracks.
They had no idea what St. Patrick's was about.
No. Because
they've been here less than 10 years.
Okay.
They've been here less than 10
I
years.
feel like 10 years, depending on how old you are when you get here, you would have been invited to go out drinking on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Depending how old you
Let's
are.
start with that.
If you show up and you're like 16, by the time you've been here for 10 years.
Okay. In Miami, there's only 2 places I used to celebrate St. Patrick's. John Martin's and Bennigan's.
Well, John Martin's is still around.
John Martin's has been rebirthed.
Yeah.
Bennigan's is long gone. Right?
Right.
And that's it.
No, but but again, if you're in that like drinking age, there a lot of clubs will do like a St. Patrick's Day,
Really?
They'll do a St. Patrick's Day.
When you were in college, did you go to any St. Patrick's celebrations? Because FIU didn't have any.
Well, yeah, we like at the Ratskeller, they would have on St. Patrick's Day, they would have like, parties.
Oh, you went to UM. That
and Titanic would have
okay. No. You're not following what I'm saying. In Miami, we don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
I'm just saying if you are in that age range,
because the extent of me of St. Patrick's Day was wearing green to school so I don't get pinched.
Right.
And, a St. Patrick's Day cupcake from Publix with a little ring with a clover.
Right. The shamrock.
The shamrock. And that was it. Right. When I lived in the Midwest, I was like, whoa.
Oh, no.
What is
they
this?
They don't play.
Wait.
Yeah. Corned beef, the whole
No. The city was shut down for St. Patrick's Day.
Well, not Chicago. They
dye the river.
The River Green.
Yeah. In Boston, it's like a huge thing.
Were you there for that? Junior?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Green River.
Green River.
Checks out.
Yeah. And you know what else they do in Chicago? They put the little ducks.
The rubber duckies?
The rubber duckies, yeah.
Oh.
But I think they're biodegradable. I think.
Also true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They are biodegradable, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's like, that's a lot of plastic floating on Lake Michigan.
Yeah. Now I'm just wondering if it's biodegradable because a lot of drunk ass people are peeing at the ducks off of the side of a bridge.
Yeah. But anyway, when I moved to the Midwest, I'm like, wait, everything sort of shuts down or celebrates St. Patrick's Day. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because in Miami, okay, maybe little pockets here and there around UM, but there's no major celebration
no,
here.
it's not a big celebration.
in St. Patrick's Day at all.
Well, also it's coming right off of the heels of Calle Ocho. So,
Right.
we're still recuperating.
Are we?
Listen, that's the biggest celebration that Miami has.
Are we?
As a city, I would say, yeah. What else gets celebrated to that extent?
Ultra?
But Ultra you have to pay to get in.
Carnival on the Mile?
Which is tied to Carnaval.
Okay, fine. But yeah, no, St. Patrick's Day here in Miami doesn't really exist. It exists by name.
It exists in pockets, like you said.
I mean, nobody here is Irish. I mean, nobody here is Irish.
Yeah.
Los tres americanos que quedan in Miami
are not Irish.
Like real americanos that live in Miami, not ones that have just moved from New York. Like los tres americanos que quedan aquí in Miami, maybe, I don't know, one of them is Irish.
Yeah, like maybe Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band.
It's funny because I had a really good white friend of mine that I met when I worked in Big Law. And I remember,
friend.
And he was Irish.
Oh, okay.
And it was my friend that I used to go to all the baseball games with.
Oh, okay.
And he was very proud of his Irish heritage. You go.
Right,
and he would always be like, yeah, because I'm having my cabbage and no sé
cabbage
qué.
and the corned beef hash. Yeah.
And I'm like, ¿tú sabes que comerse una cabeza de cola así con esa cosa?
Okay, I will say, because when I was in New York, my friend, he's half Scottish Irish.
Mm-hmm.
For St. Patrick's Day, he would do like a whole traditional with like the soda bread and everything. And you know what? It was good.
Okay.
I will say, it was
corned
yummy.
beef is good.
Corned beef. They did the cabbage. They did the whole like traditional Irish meal, and it was like, okay, you know what? I can get behind this.
So yeah, I was explaining to a bunch of Cubans what actually, what was great? I was explaining to them what St. Patrick's Day was, and then I also tell them, Cinco de Mayo, not really Mexican,
not a real thing.
And they're like, pero esa no es la independencia mexicana. I'm like, no,
Like yeah, but no.
Like no at all. Like
right. I'm saying it's one of many like battles, and so
it was a battle between France and Mexico.
Right. Por eso, it's not the
Cinco de Mayo was
not the main Independence Day.
It's not anything to do with Independence Day. That was created by I think
Corona.
Yeah, to celebrate beer. And then it turned into Cinco de Mayo.
You know what you should do though? You should tell because since these Cubans have zero concept of St. Patrick's Day, you should have told them about I think it's Uncle O'Grimace.
¿Qué es eso?
Grimace is Irish uncle who only shows up for St. Patrick's Day for the Irish shake at McDonald's.
Grimace from McDonald's has an uncle?
Yeah, he has an uncle and 2 aunts.
But he doesn't have parents.
Listen, why are you shaming him about being an orphan?
Let me ask you something. What is the plural of grimace? Grimai?
Oh. Is it Grimai or grimaces?
I don't know. Let me see. What other fun holidays can I confuse, my fellow Cubans with?
That's what I'm saying. Like, do this. Add the grimace to the St. Patrick's Day myth. So there will be this like pocket of like 20 Cubans.
You know what I never understood until I was like 25? ¿Qué es ese bicho que sale de la tierra que la gente están siempre mirando with the guy with the funny hat? I'm like, what's up with that?
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
I mean, please. No te ponga like, it's Groundhog Day.
Yes, I've known about Groundhog Day since I was a kid.
Because Groundhog Day has any relevancy in Miami. We're getting summer.
Actually, you know what?
Summer.
You know what? I'm gonna challenge you, sir.
Oh yeah.
This year that thing saw its shadow and ran back inside, and you know what? En esta semana habían 4 días que hacía fresco, que estaba en los 60, which for Miami is cold.
Well, you're wearing a tank top.
Well, but I defy the elements.
well. I mean, I am so sorry that I even went there. Like, sorry. Pardon me. I don't know where to go from here. You're element defying.
I am element defying. Alphabet defies gravity. I defy elements.
You defy elements.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah. So, I'm going to see what other holidays I torture them with.
This is fun.
This
is fun. Listeners, what else should he pull out?
What are some other weird holidays?
Yeah.
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
Yeah.
How do we mess that one up?
What is Arbor Day again?
It's when we celebrate trees.
It is?
Yeah.
Why is it called Arbor Day?
I'm sure there's some type of Latin thing for arbor being like un árbol, arbor. I'm sure it's
you just completely made that up, didn't you?
I know, but didn't it make sense?
When I think arbor, I think something nautical.
Oh, I don't
know. I think something nautical.
Because you're thinking like the harbor.
I think something nautical from Annapolis. Specifically.
Wow, that's a very specific wrong thought. But yes. It was very specific.
Wait, what's May Day? Is May Day a thing?
May Day is a thing, but I don't think it's a thing here. I think that's a British thing.
Is it?
I don't know.
I know what Maytag is.
Yeah.
Oye, mira que las lavadoras Maytag son caras.
Pero duran.
Yeah.
Lo caro, como es lo barato sale caro.
Yeah, pero yo no creo que duran como duraban antes.
Well, nothing does.
No. I love how my parents would always say, cuando nosotros nos fuimos de Cuba, nosotros todavía teníamos la batidora Ostorice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I will say.
Do you know what my mom says till this day? Till this day. I should, you know what? Next time you're around my parents, remind me and I'll sort of provoke her.
Okay.
My mom is always complaining. You know how a few episodes ago I was always complaining that my dad nunca encontraba a good rice cooker?
Yes.
Right? Because like Dachi was gone.
Yeah.
And like Dachi was the greatest rice cooker ever.
No lies detected.
Right. My mom feels that way about irons. My mom's like, ninguna plancha sirve. Ninguna. Todas las planchas son una basura. Se rompen, el agua no sale. She goes, yo en Cuba debía haber traído la plancha que yo tenía en Cuba, que era tremenda plancha, que era General Electric. Eso sí que duraba. My mom till this day, 2025, will say, yo debía haber traído la plancha de Cuba. And
Try getting that through La Aduana.
I'm like, can you imagine coming to the United States and you have your clothes and all that, your paperwork, and they're like, no, pero yo traigo la plancha.
My prized iron.
It probably was great. It probably had
was.
one of those cords that had the fabric.
Oh, 100%. That's why it was good. Yeah, because hoy en día las planchas todas son plásticas, son una mierda. Yeah.
Can you say?
That's why I got a
Can you
steamer
say,
instead.
Junior? Can you say plancha con cuatro plancha con cuánta plancha plancha?
I cannot.
I don't even know if you just plancha, ¿qué?
I think Junior thinks you just conjured a demon. Like,
listen.
Quick. Is he okay?
Plancha con cuatro plancha con cuánta plancha.
I've never been good at tongue twisters.
Like, you know what I can't say?
What?
Peter Piper pick up pickles.
Wow.
Peter Piper pick a pack of peppers. If Peter Piper pick a pack of peppers, how many pack of peppers did Peter Piper pick?
There you go. See?
How many?
A pack.
A pack.
A pack of peppers.
There's another one. Rápido corren los carros. No, R con R cigarro.
R con R barril.
Rápido corren los carros que corren el
ferrocarril.
ferrocarril. That's the only one that I kind of know and I have to say it slowly.
Right. And then there's the one Adela says in Que Pasa USA, but I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that one.
But you know what I'm talking about,
yes,
right?
With Mrs. Allen. And Mrs. Allen says one also that I've never heard of because she says Sally sells seashells by the seashore, but she sells another one too that I'm like, I don't know that one.
Sally sells
seashells by the seashore, but there's more to it. But it's yeah, it's that one.
I also memorized los zapaticos de rosa en Cultivo una rosa blanca. En julio como en enero para un amigo sincero que me da su mano franca. Don't quote me on the whole thing.
You know more than I do. So there you go.
You didn't study Jose Marti in school?
We probably did, but I don't recall it.
My Anglo school, we studied Jose Marti.
No, I mean, our Spanish teacher, we studied Jose Marti poetry, but I don't recall I just don't recall the verses.
Okay, actually, you know what? I'm glad we're talking about Jose Marti. Because
are you as glad as we were when we talked about rubber cement?
No, this is a different type of glad.
Okay.
So we all know Jose Marti, and we know Jose Marti for many things, and Jose Marti, one of his greatest legacies and things that he's known for is his poetry, right? And his poetry really is beautiful, for those of you who've had a chance to read it. And among one of the most beautiful poems that he ever wrote was Los Zapaticos de Rosa. Which, for those of you who haven't read it, it's about this little girl, Pilar, and her zapaticos de rosa, and she goes to the beach and all that. It's a beautiful, beautiful poem. So, as a good Cuban boy, I grew up with the Jose Marti folklore, and I read all his stuff, and I knew about him. And a few years ago, I was doing a little bit of research on him.
Oh, no.
And I found out
Why does this not end well?
Do you know where Jose Marti was when he wrote Los Zapaticos de Rosa? You're never going to guess. I saw him in a beautiful beach in Cuba being inspired around with...
Like on a wicker chair.
Yeah, being inspired. Right. And he saw a little girl and he's like, Was he at like a McCrory? No, he was in the Catskills. Jose Marti lived in the Catskills. And while he was at the Catskills, he wrote a lot of his poetry, including Los Zapaticos de Rosa. So I'm like, wait.
So he wrote Los Zapaticos de Rosa in the same place that Dirty Dancing took place?
That's exactly what I thought. Do you know that's exactly what I thought? I was like, wait. The same backdrop that Baby had.
Nobody puts Baby in Zapaticos de Rosa.
The same backdrop that Baby had in Dirty Dancing was what Jose Marti had a century before, writing Los Zapaticos de Rosa. I'm like, why didn't they teach me this in, Spanish history class?
The allure.
That blew my mind. If he would have been here in Miami, in Miami Beach or something,
even Tampa,
baby,
having a Cuban sandwich
somewhere in Florida, but he was in the Catskills.
Wow.
Ahorita they would have told me he was in the Poconos.
It was. I was watching some vaudeville.
This is what we're doing here, and Pero let me tell you, debunking myths.
We are. Well, it's not even a myth so much as it is just we're bringing out the truth.
We're the listen, laugh, and learn.
This is the listen, laugh.
Jose
and learn.
Marti wrote Los
Absolutely.
Zapaticos de Rosa in the Catskills.
In the Catskills.
Along with many of his other famous,
Along with all the greatest hits.
the greatest hits, his greatest poems. I mean, yeah, talk about.
Was he even Cuban? We don't know.
He was just a legend.
Maybe he was Joe Marty.
Who's Joe Marty?
Instead of Jose Marti.
Oh. What's funny? I was talking to a friend of mine not so long ago, and he's like, "What does a J and DJ mean?" And I'm like, he's like, "Is it John?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm Cuban. It's either Jesus, Juan, or Jose.
Yeah, pick one.
Or Joaquin.
Joaquin. Yeah, but not
Not John.
Yeah, usually Joaquin isn't a middle name. So
Yeah.
So you're pretty much
Yeah.
one of those top three.
Right? Who's Latin called John?
Well, no, you're not going to be John because you're going to be Juan, which is John.
John. Mira, that's something that I've never understood about the translation. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I've never understood the whole thing about the translation of Spanish names into English names, because in English, a name is a proper noun.
Right.
So that is a name that
is what it
never
is.
ever
Yeah,
changes.
yeah.
But I love how growing up, my parents would be watching TV from Spain. And they'll be like, El Príncipe Guillermo. And I'm like, who's Guillermo? And it's William.
It's William. Prince William. Yeah.
I'm like,
or Carlos instead of
and I'm
Charles.
like, my dad would be like, bueno, how do you say Guillermo in English? I'm like, Guillermo?
Yeah, Guillermo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like on What We Do in the Shadows, they didn't go around calling Harvey Guillen, "Hey, William, come here,"
And then what is it? Peter
It's Pedro.
Pedro. I'm like, how do you say Peter in Spanish? Peter. How do you say Pedro in English? Pedro.
Yeah. You know what? Que pasa? USA had that one right though.
Why?
Because when Juana takes her tutor friend, she doesn't say Pedro. She says Peter Pepe Papa.
Wait. So it's Pedro Griffin?
It's Pedro Griffin. That's a whole different show.
Pedro Griffin, instead of
And also Peter Pascal is not the same person.
Pedro Griffin,
Okay.
right? Instead of living in Rhode Island, they live in Little Havana. And
Okay.
instead of wearing a white shirt, he's wearing a white guayabera.
100%.
Right?
And then when Lois becomes Luisa,
Instead of going to the clam,
the drunken clam.
right, they go to, I don't know, Versailles or some stuff like that.
No, it has to be something instead of a drunken clam. I don't know. It'd be like la vaca frita.
Yeah. Instead of Quagmire,
Oh, I don't know what
El
that turns
Loco.
into.
El Loco.
Yeah, but it has to be like an actual name thing. That's why.
El Loco.
Okay.
Listen. In my family, there's someone that they call chorizo. I was telling you this the other day.
I know, but why chorizo?
Because they call him chorizo. And what I find funny about my family, there's a chorizo, a mantequilla, a guajiro, but they call them by their last name. So they're like, it's like
Chorizo Gonzalez.
Chorizo Cabo.
I was trying not to call out the person you're saying.
He's not the demographic.
No, but someone who knows it might be.
So, and the other ones too, they call them by their nickname and then their last name. So it's like a proper name. So I'm like, wow, like
it's like their confirmation name.
yeah. You know what I've also thought about? You know how we all have nicknames, but that's your name forever,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
family, I'm Tato and Tati, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Smiles with my cousins. Yeah.
Your Smiles.
Smiles. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. All my cousins call me Smiles. Yeah.
I've known you for 34 years and they call you Smiles?
Yeah. Because I'm a happy person.
What type of nickname is that?
Oh, really? You live in a family where somebody calls them sausage and you're going to question mine?
No, we're tato, tati, china, chino,
Chorizo.
flaco.
Mantequilla. But you're going to question Smiles?
Smiles is so Anglo. Like,
well, we were born here. It's all my cousins that were born here.
excuse me.
It's all my cousins that were born here.
Smiles.
Yeah.
Well, how did I not know this?
Well, because it's not something that I'm called amongst other people.
Okay, Smiles. I'll be called Agridulce from now on.
I'll just call you AD for short.
Wait, but do our Anglo brother and sisters, do they have nicknames? I don't think they have nicknames.
I'm sure they do. They're just not as fun.
No, I think it's Latin people and black people.
In that order?
Well, no, both.
Yeah,
I think they're the one. We have nicknames for each other, and they're the nicknames forever. Like,
no, it sticks. That's it.
Yeah, it's forever.
Yeah,
like that is your name. I'm Tato and Tati.
That's
like
it.
I have people in my family that have never called me by my name.
Oh, my sister has never called me by my name. It's always Tata.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a more acceptable name.
Yeah.
Well, and you call her Tata.
No, I just call her Evie.
Okay. I call my uncle Tata.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy? That my cousin calls my mom and dad mommy and papi.
What does he call his actual parents?
Mama y papa.
This is why we all need therapy.
And then my uncle has a nickname for his nickname.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they call him Pelayo, but they also call him Piturria. Because Piturria, yeah. And then there was somebody.
Certain people who call him one and certain people call him another?
But then there was also another guy in my family that they used to call him Juan Pecao. But then for short, they called him Juanpi.
Okay, well, you shorten it. I mean, Juan Pecao's fairly long. That's a lot of syllables.
Yeah.
That is a lot of syllables.
Es un arroz con mango.
It's a total rice with mangoes.
You know that is a question I would love to ask a Cuban folklore expert.
Where did that come from?
Where does arroz con mango come from? Did somebody once upon a time have rice with mango?
And let me tell you something. It sounds delicious. Rice? I mean, rice. Don't think
with mango?
Yeah, why not? Like chopped up. Think about it. You've never had like mango, like quinoa that has like mango in it? I have.
I don't know.
I've had quinoa with mango, so it can't be that much different.
I like rice with either olive oil, beans, or that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, you have like arroz frito. It has stuff in it, so put a little sweet.
I don't have arroz frito anymore. I have chaufa. Once you go Peruvian, once you have so Peruvian chaufa, you never go back.
It's so good.
To our Peruvian listeners, que viva Peru and its cuisine.
Thank you.
My God.
Yes.
Give me a jalea mixta. Oh my God.
Best food I ever had That's what I ever had was in Peru.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move along to...
Because we're going to get hungry.
Because I feel we're bouncing all over the place.
So I did want to bring something
Jose
up.
Marti lived in the Catskills.
In the Catskills. It was him and Patrick Swayze.
They had the time of their lives.
They did. Now I'm picturing Patrick Swayze catching Jose Marti in the river on the log.
Mira que esa mujer siempre era una pesada. The one
Jennifer Grey?
No, in Dirty Dancing, the lady who had the hots for Patrick Swayze, the older lady.
Okay.
You don't remember what I'm talking about? Yeah. That she gets so mad because he doesn't want her. Right. She was also the same one that got mad that he didn't want her in salsa.
Oh, that's the same woman?
Yeah, because she was a choreographer.
Oh, okay. I'm like, so does she only get rejected 80s. In musical movies?
Yeah, and she was una pesa.
It's like, is there a dance movie being made? Yes, I must go get rejected.
Do you like Dirty Dancing?
I really do. It has a soft spot.
I like Dirty Dancing, not because so much of the movie, but because I remember that was a movie that when it came out, everybody loved it. And like, I remember it was one of the first movies or one of the only movies that like my family loved.
Yes. Yeah. It for all intents and purposes, it is like a family
movie.
movie.
That movie was like super popular in Cuba, like bootlegged, of course, but
Bailando Suave.
Bailando Suave. But I mean, bootlegged. But like I remember everybody in my family loving Dirty Dancing, which again, my parents, my aunts, uncles didn't really watch American films.
Right.
So, but Dirty Dancing somehow.
I mean, well, what's not to love? It's the Catskills.
I remember my cousin had the Dirty Dancing soundtrack on vinyl. And every time of my life would come out, my aunt would be like, till this day, qué linda es esa canción. Qué alegre. Qué alegre. Qué linda.
And then she runs into a crowd and gets caught.
¿Verdad, Tato? ¿Verdad que está linda esa canción? I was like, I love it.
That is a great song. That song is the epitome of adult contemporary.
Because
Like if I had to explain to somebody what is adult contemporary music, I'd be like, just listen to this.
what's your favorite song from the Dirty Dancing? I love Hungry Eyes.
I like She's Like the Wind.
She's Like the Wind is good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Hungry Eyes,
Yeah.
that's a great song.
Yeah. It's a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's back when soundtracks actually meant something.
Did you listen to
We
that?
used to be a proper
Did you
country.
listen to that before or after you listened to the Mannequin soundtrack? And we can build this thing together.
I like that song in the Mannequin soundtrack, but that's not my favorite song from the Mannequin soundtrack.
I remember being a kid. Mannequin was not one of those movies that I watched a lot.
Oh, we had it recorded
But
on
I
VHS.
remember whenever Mannequin would come out on TV or for whatever reason it was airing in my house, I would get so much anxiety at the end when her feet would be touching the thing.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, and now I get more anxiety because I know it's Kim Cattrall.
I'm like, no.
Like, get her, McCarthy, get her.
Okay.
Then Hollywood saves the day. All right. But no, so I wanted to bring something up that I saw the other day. And, many times on this show, we talk about like how, you can tell when somebody who speaks Spanish is part of a team or not when you see these like advertising campaigns and things like that. So driving down, I was in like Little Havana area by the stadium. And there's this huge billboard for a law firm company, Morgan & Morgan.
America's largest law firm, personal injury law firm.
I'm glad you said that. Okay. So it said America's largest law firm, right? So it was in Spanish, but the translation that they said was La firma más grande de los Estados Unidos. And I was like, it's the biggest signature in the United States because firm is not firma.
I think it's bufete.
It's bufete or I looked it up, but it's not firma.
Yeah, no, it's not firma.
And that to me is like the definition of somebody who you gave that to somebody who doesn't speak the language. Right. They translate it. Not only did they translate it, now it's biggest day in the middle of Little Havana, and it makes no sense.
La firma más grande.
La firma más grande. And I'm like, well, I mean, have we measured the biggest signatures in the United States? Like how, like guys, this is why it's important. Like, I know right now we're having a whole like thing of DEI being gone and whatever, but like, this is why it's important to have diversity in the workforce.
Like,
this is why you need to have a multicultural agency.
But I would say
because that's just not correct.
It's not that it's not diversity. I think that whoever came up with that, whether it was somebody from the law firm or somebody from the marketing agency, I actually probably think it was somebody who spoke Spanish and somebody who was Latin, but they thought because somebody who says firma is probably somebody who speaks Spanish, maybe it's first generation, speaks Spanish and thinks that is a translation to firm, right?
Right.
So I think
Empresa is,
but that was probably, I actually think that was by somebody who speaks Spanish, but they don't speak proper Spanish. Right. So there was no type of checks
and balances.
Right. Yeah. As to like, hey, can we make sure, because I know that, for example, there's so much that I say that is incorrect, right? Because of the way that I speak Spanish, that if I were to do something formal like that,
but you would literally run it by someone else.
Of course I would.
Because you understand. I mean, I used to do it too. I mean, I work in multicultural marketing. Like there were times where I'd be like, I'm putting this together. I'm transcreating, not translating. And sometimes I would take a step back and I'd be like, I think this is correct, but let me run it up the flagpole to someone else.
When you said that, that reminded me a few years ago, and we talked about it here in the podcast, when the NFL for Hispanic Heritage Month put the NFL. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. Like,
no.
That was literally somebody, a boardroom or a group of people saying, oh, you know what we're going to do for Hispanic Heritage Month? Let's put the little curve thing on top of the N.
Right.
And it'll be like the NFL. I'm like,
that doesn't mean anything.
Nobody says that, and that doesn't mean anything.
Right. Because it's not that nacional.
That, I think, is like super lazy.
Right.
Right? Because
that to me says there was nobody in the room who has a Hispanic background. At that moment.
That one I think is more to what you're saying.
More egregious.
Because I think firma, I'm like, oh, I could see that being like a first gen.
Like Selecolo,
first gen kid who
Her second
is
gen,
doing
not
this
first gen.
and is like, oh, la firma más grande de Estados Unidos, I mean, because look, I thought typeadora was a word.
Okay, but no, you didn't.
Oh, no, I thought typeadora was
You
a word.
thought that was a word, or you just thought
I thought typeadora was a word and the verb was typear.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, because there was a moment I'm talking years ago. I was like 9 years old. I'll never forget. My uncle was at the time living in San Diego, my dad's brother, and he called the house asking, and I was the only one home at that time, so I was probably a little older, asking how you say vacuum cleaner in Spanish. And at that moment, I had never said the word vacuum cleaner in Spanish.
Vacuum cleaning.
Right. So I was like, I don't know. We always say vacuum cleaner. Now, I knew that wasn't correct.
Right.
But I also knew that was the only way I had ever heard it. I had never heard aspiradora.
Right.
At that moment. So, right. If you had asked me, I would have said vacuum cleaner. But I knew that was not the word.
Right, but to me, typeadora sounded right. And especially the verb, typear, typié, typeamos,
Typeando.
typearon. I could conjugate that word.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can conjugate most words if you get creative enough. Yeah.
Vosotros.
Oh, you're fancy now. Okay, you're formal.
Vosotros
Typeanamos? It's getting away from us at
I
this
thought
point.
typear was a word.
You
And
really
then
thought it was?
Maquinografiar. Maquinografía. En una
Right.
máquina de escribir.
That's like to this day, I'm convinced, and I've been told that no, that is the correct way. I'm convinced that there has to be another word for shorts in Spanish than chores.
Then chore.
Because chore sounds wrong.
Well,
pantalones cortos is the only other thing.
How do you say pullover in Spanish?
Un pullover is, bueno, it's una camisa. I mean, no, isn't it?
No,
It's a
una
shirt.
camisa es una camisa. Buttons. A t-shirt. How do you say a t-shirt? What is the proper way of saying a t-shirt in Spanish? Listeners, what is the proper way of saying a
No, you're
t-shirt
right.
in Spanish? Because in Cuban Spanish, es un pullover.
Un pullover.
Un pullover.
Which is a literal translation of pullover.
Right. Which
Right.
Who nobody says pullover in English.
Right. Well, not anymore. They probably said it in like 1910.
Yeah. How do you say pullover? No. How do you say t-shirt in English? In Spanish?
In Spanish, yeah. Un pullover. Yeah.
How about jeans? Uno hiene.
Uno hiene.
Shorts. Uno chore.
Uno chore. Yeah. But again, but I'm convinced in my heart of hearts, I am convinced that there is a word out there that we are not.
The word that we own as Spanish speaking folk, we own and we all own proudly, no matter what country you're from, is chancleta. Or chancla.
Or chancla, yeah. Some derivative, yes.
Chancleta.
Yeah. Sandalia, no.
No.
Chancleta.
Chancleta. We own that word and we own that word
It is tattooed
proudly.
on our hearts, babe.
And that, and the thing about chancleta is that it means so much. It's just not footwear.
No. It's an assault weapon.
It's an assault weapon. It's a threat.
It's a threat.
It could be a gift.
It's a way of life because you're chancleteando.
You know what? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A mode of transportation.
It's a mode of transportation. Yeah.
Of comfort.
Yeah. It's
Convenience.
It's derogatory.
It's derogatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about versatility of a word
that is-
or of an item.
Yeah.
It is chancleta.
Lo único que le falta is to be edible. I'm sure
Is it cake?
I mean, make a chancleta cake. There you go.
Yo ando cantidad en chancleta, so that would be me.
You are a total chancletero.
I am. It's so funny. As much as I love shoes and all that stuff, and
No,
like
you are-
Jordans and all that, give me my Havaianas, and I'm having
You're
a good old
the
time.
happiest person on earth.
No, because sometimes it's like I don't want to bend over and put on socks. It's too much trouble.
I like that the barrier there to entry was not the shoelaces; it was the socks.
Who ties shoelaces?
Well, I'm just saying.
I don't tie shoe. Junior, do you tie
I
your
do.
shoelaces?
I haven't in about 7 years.
Oh no, I do because I like to be snug, especially when I'm at the gym.
Of course you do, Smiley.
Yeah. Well, when I'm at the gym, and I'm on the treadmill. I mean, I can't have my shoes like loose.
I'm telling you, Junior and I.
Who
Got you,
wants
Junior.
loose shoes on a treadmill? That's how you become a meme.
You don't tie your nice kicks. That's a nerdy thing to do.
I'm talking about like these that I'm wearing, like that I wear to the gym.
You don't tie that. You walk around with them, a little loose, and you're.
No, I like snug footwear.
Of course you do, Smiley.
I do. I like snug footwear. It makes me.
I love how Junior had a date. It's been 7 years since I tied my last shoelace.
Yeah,
7 years.
Yeah, the only person who has that much notice of time was Sinead O'Connor. It's
or the lady from Titanic.
yes,
It's been 87 years.
Yeah.
The beds have never been slept in. It still smelled of paint. Titanic was a ship of dreams, and she was. She really... Okay, let's stop, because I could go on a Titanic tangent.
Y después botó el heart of the ocean.
Let's not start with that.
Vieja egoísta.
Let's not start with that.
Egoísta.
Okay,
La pobre nieta ahí sufriendo, comiéndose un cable. And
you don't know what life her daughter had. She was a potter.
And have you ever met a successful potter?
Harry.
There we go.
And even he became a wizard.
I mean, but Harry did start very modestly.
Very modest.
Living
Yeah, he lived in under the stairs.
En un closet.
Yeah.
Speaking of viejas.
Yeah.
So the day many of us have feared is coming.
My God, what's happening?
Yolanda Saldívar
Oh, yes.
is up for parole,
Yes.
I believe.
April 1st?
April 1st or March 30th
Yeah.
is her parole hearing.
Yeah, because she could get out April 1st. So, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do we think about this?
Oh, Yolanda.
I think Yolanda, because she's been in jail for 30 years, she doesn't know a lot about what's going on the outside. I think Yolanda, for her safety, should stay on the inside.
I think Yolanda's aware.
Yolanda better not go anywhere near the state of Texas.
No.
And Texas is big. Don't mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Texas as a unit, as a unified front. No. And you know what? Stay away from pockets of Los Angeles, too.
Yeah. Well, even here in South Florida, too.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska
Selena
might
was
work
a
for
reina
you.
de carnaval,
That's true.
down here.
That's true. Nebraska might work best for her.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Guam.
Idaho. Guam.
Yeah.
Turks.
The Marshall Islands.
Turks or Caicos.
Trinidad or Tobago.
You have
No,
options.
they like Selena there, too.
That's true, but it's more remote.
Right. So what do we think about this?
That's an interesting one. Like, you want to talk about somebody who, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't think we have to go into the whole spiel about like what she did was awful and was horrible and the death of Selena, so on and so forth. But I mean, she paid her debt to society, and yet, she's somebody who is. I can't recall. I will say that I can't.
Well,
recall.
she didn't get 30 years.
Well, she did her parole, right?
She got life. She just
Right.
got her
She's up for
parole
She's
in
up for
30
parole.
years.
But what I'm saying is, like, I don't think we've had somebody with that level of notoriety having the potential of being let out, right? Because aside from her, I would say, I know this is going to be a big jump.
The Mansons. I used to watch Leslie Van Houten's parole hearings
Was that
on Court TV
No,
all the time.
That wasn't Squeaky. Squeaky was from. Right. Those, like, Manson was never getting out, right? Mm-hmm. So you always knew, he was going up for parole, but he wasn't getting out.
Right.
I can't recall the last time we had somebody with that notoriety go up for parole and potentially be getting it.
Well, but also somebody who killed a beloved
Right. That's what I mean by the notoriety. Yes. Like, so I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it because I don't think we've ever had this situation before where they could realistically be out on parole.
I mean, look, I don't know enough
Because the guy
about,
who shot Lennon died in jail, right?
I believe so. The one who shot Reagan is still in jail.
Is still in jail, right?
Yeah,
and now he's really upset because Jodie Foster.
I think that's the least of his problems.
Fair enough. But you know what it is? He did it for Jodie Foster, and it's like, dude, wrong tree.
You never. But once again, that's the least of his problems.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would like to, obviously, as a bias and emotional argument, she killed Selena, 23 years old. Just
So
even
then she would have been what,
53.
53.
Put away the fact that she was a star and she was beloved. She killed killing anybody is bad, but she killed a person that was like at the beginning of her life, and it's for such a stupid reason also. Mm-hmm. The little that I know about the case, and I'm talking now with a legal hat.
Okay.
I don't know enough about the case to have an opinion as to whether it was premeditated or it wasn't, whether it was an accident or it wasn't. I don't know enough about the legalities of it. And listen, I think that obviously if she's up for parole, legally and in terms of due process, she is entitled to sit in front of a parole board and plead her case that she has been, that she has rectified, the whatever, her issues were or whatever her explanation
She's quote unquote paid her debt.
But I mean, I really think that in this day and age and everything, that she is such a public figure because everybody knows who she is. And then also the thing with her is that she has chosen throughout her time that she's been incarcerated to give interviews, to come out publicly. So people know what she looks like. They know what she looks like 30 years later. She has made a lot of statements.
Right.
So she has put herself she has continued to put herself in the middle of this controversy and in the spotlight. I think maybe she isn't aware of the vitriol there is still for her, because the thing also why I think that her case is very unique to, let's say, the people the ladies that were in jail over the Manson killings.
Right.
Yeah, like I told you, I used to watch the Leslie Van Houten one, which she got released.
Yeah, she was the only one, right?
I'm not sure she was the only one, but she got released after like 50 some years in jail. But the thing is that I think as a populace, we know about the Manson killings and we know what happened and we know how horrible it was, but there isn't a connection with the people that passed, right? Whereas with Selena, even though Selena died 30 years ago, right? We obviously have a connection to it because we remember her, but younger people and subsequent generations that weren't even alive when Selena was killed grew up on the legacy of Selena, and they love Selena.
As awful as it sounds, there is not a Sharon Tate legacy in the same way as Selena.
Right. So Selena is a beloved figure to everybody who knew her when she was alive, but she's also a beloved figure to everybody who wasn't even born yet, that grew up on her and love her and wear her t-shirts and her music and all that. And I think that because Selena was big in the 90s, the 90s may have already been 20 some, 30 some years ago. The 90s is still very...
Well, it's having a resurgence now too.
But it's also very like pop current. I know it's been 30 some years, but I have this theory that, past like the 80s, like mid to late 80s, like the evolution of like pop and all that, it doesn't feel as like extended as like in the 80s, the 60s, or in the 80s, 40 years earlier was
it's
the
not as
40s, right? Whereas now, 40 years from now is the 80s. It doesn't feel as long ago, right? Yeah. So there's still like quite an investment, an emotional connection to who Selena is. So I think there's a lot of pissed off people. Yeah. And I think that she maybe doesn't appreciate that, doesn't understand that, doesn't know that. And it's like,
cuídate.
Yolanda, you better be careful, girl.
Listen,
como dice Whoopi Goldberg.
Listen, if they were able to finally get to, I can't remember her, Griselda Blanco, they'll get to you, Yolanda. So just be careful.
If I was her attorney or her handlers, I'd be like, Yolanda, people are batshit crazy. Like,
las cosas no están igual.
Únicamente que tú te vayas a desaparecer. But that's the thing about her.
Then she's not that person.
I don't think she's that person.
Yeah, she wants us to know what's in the box.
Right. I don't think she's that person that's like, oh shit, I got out. I'm going to literally disappear.
Sí, no.
I'm moving to another country. I'm disappearing. No, she's constantly giving interviews and stuff like
jail.
That. She wants to plead her case, and it's like, okay,
I mean, you did shoot her. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the
from the
bottom
back.
line. Yeah, exactly. She was trying to escape. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I think about the movie. I didn't want to kill my best friend.
Oh.
I didn't want to kill. I just think that I love that movie.
That movie's so good.
But that part is so ridiculous.
The problem with that movie is that obviously it has to end with her death, right? So we know how this movie ends. But at the same time, like, how do you film something?
The first time I saw that movie, I forgot that she dies in the movie.
You do?
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, yeah. To this day, I'm still like, maybe she'll catch the rose.
Yeah, that scene when throw the rose.
Maybe this time it'll end differently.
Catch it, Jennifer. Catch the rose.
I'm also the same dumbass who watches Rent, and I'm like, maybe Angel won't die of AIDS this time. Like, no, I'm saying, like, I've seen these things several times. I know how this ends, and I'm still the dumbass who's like, maybe this time it'll be different.
I have to say that movie, Selena, okay, if you deconstruct that movie's kind of cheesy, but it's so good.
It's the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, she's like, you go, girl. I'm like, that's fucking so cringe.
But it's of its time.
Not even of its time. I think that they would have.
First of all biopics have a certain formula that they go through. But I also think there was also something to be said, I think, for the speed with which that movie was put together.
It was. And I think the concert scenes are fantastic. And there's just elements of that movie that are really, really cheesy. I don't think it's so much of an element of its time. I just think it's like they tried to like show the character of Selena, like that she was a little goofy herself.
Right. She was a cheesy person.
Yeah. So a lot of it I watch and I'm like, ugh. But as a whole, I freaking love that movie.
Yeah.
And whatever. Jennifer Lopez se la comió in that movie.
Yep.
So let's stop this J-Lo hate, people.
Yes.
You know, Ashanti only sang background vocals and she was credited. Let's let it go. Let's let it go.
Yes. To this day, I'm pretty sure when things are going crazy, you know, J-Lo can just go. Like
El chico del apartamento 512.
Watching much.
What are our favorite Selena songs? Junior, what's your favorite Selena song?
Chitty chitty bum bum, chitty chitty bum bum.
Beady 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 bum bum.
Beady
Yeah.
beady beady beady. Yeah.
My favorite Selena song isn't my favorite Selena song, but it's my favorite because of what happened with that song.
She had some good songs. It's funny because I can't say I was a huge fan of hers before she died, but I used to watch MTV Internacional with Daisy Fuentes religiously on Telemundo, and they used to play a lot of Selena videos, and I loved a bunch of her songs.
Yeah.
Sí, esta canción.
I mean, No Me Queda Más is just a
Yo
beautiful
tenía
song.
una esperanza
No Me Queda Más, yeah.
en el fondo de mi
That's
alma.
a beautiful song.
That is a song.
Beautiful
That is a song.
arrangement.
That's a good song.
Like,
And
the video is so simple.
I love, which is actually live is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Is si una vez dije que te amaba,
so
hoy
good.
me arrepiento. Si una vez dije que te amaba, no sé lo que pensé, estaba loca. That's a good song.
That is a great
Well, we got to finish the line. Si una vez dije que te amaba y que por ti la vida daba. Si una vez dije que te amaba, no lo vuelvo a hacer.
Ese error es cosa de ayer.
Okay, so all this nasty Yolanda Sadiva talk has made me a little thirsty.
Okay, I agree.
I think we should
Let's cleanse the palate.
Let's cleanse the palate,
Yes.
get refreshed, and go to our last soda. So I want to give a shout out this week and our last soda to friend of the podcast. He's been here on our show, and we're just really proud of him, is Tom Llamas.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Journalist from NBC.
Hometown boy.
Tom, he's from Miami, Cuban boy, Belén
Yes.
alum. So, I mean, you don't get more 305 than that. Tom was on our show a couple of years ago. We loved having him on. And he's really sort of that, Miami success story. He studied journalism, obviously. And, he went big leagues. He was working for ABC. Then he went to NBC doing hard news. And he did the Today Show. And just this past week, it was announced that he will be taking over Lester Holt's spot as the main anchor of NBC News each evening.
Yeah, the
evening news. And that is a huge honor and a huge, position for hometown boy Tom Llamas.
I mean, is he the first Latino to have that position?
He is.
Well, congrats, brother.
Yeah, he is. He is. And I mean, again, classy guy. So much 305. Whenever he's because NBC is where I got most of my news from. Whenever he's had to cover anything Miami related or whether it's a storm or things having to do with the community or things like that, he always says, that's where I'm from. That's my home. That's where I grew up. So it's just really amazing to see somebody who is such a product of this city and of this culture and of the the people that we are, make it so big and so mainstream
That we can be proud of.
And it's funny because when I see him being proper in the evening news, I'm like, Tom. I know, Tom, that
Tomas,
Tomasito, and Nene. I know. I know you were probably hanging out at Arbiters and Flanagan's and and all that.
He would totally have a timba shake out off the off air.
Tom likes his pastelitos de guayaba y croqueta.
Yeah, of course he does.
And now he's in the evening news on NBC. Yeah,
it's national, babe.
So last soda to Tom Llamas.
That's a great one. All right, so my last soda is that I do my weird last soda sometimes. So this week I was listening to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast Inside of You, and his guest was Jack Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack Osborne said this quote was his favorite quote, and I was like, you know what? I'm digging it. I think it's something that we all need to keep. It's a
Jack Osborne
from
Osborne's Ozzy Osbourne. It took me a second to remember who Jack Osborne was.
Yes, it's been a minute. He said this quote is his favorite quote that he lives by, and I think it just resonated with me. Times are nuts. Things are not always great. But it's a quote by this guy named Jordan Peterson. And it says...
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I don't really know who that is. I'm glad you do though. So it says, we aren't entitled to happiness. We're entitled to an adventure.
Okay.
And I like that because I think it's always, people, I think a lot of times we just strive to be like, happy. And I need to be in a good place. And I think sometimes we just need to step back and realize like, you know what? It's okay. Like peaks and valleys are fine. And when you have those valleys, you're laughing. I'm here being very, very sentimental and being very, very like,
do you know what I'm
vulnerable? And you're laughing at me.
I'm thinking of Name Your Adventure with Mario Lopez. Name Your Adventure.
And then he wonders why he doesn't know my nickname is Smiles.
I'm sorry.
You know what? My quote. Done. We're on. You know what? Bring us home. Done.
We love adventures. I love adventure.
No, you know what? No, just for a moment, and the moment is gone.
Our yearbook?
Yes, I'm quoting your yearbook.
We love adventures. I like taking adventures.
Yes.
Adventures are good.
Yes.
What else is an adventure?
Whatever you want. You're laughing at my attempt to be like, vulnerable and deep. Okay, so you know what?
Smiles, I can't be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable and deep in that shirt.
Listen, this is not the deepest.
You're wearing He-Man.
I am wearing He-Man.
Attorney at Jim, yes. Right? And
part of our childhood.
And you want to be...
I contain multitudes.
Okay. Okay, everybody.
Well, I defy the elements.
Yes. Defy the elements. What is it?
So that quote, I thought it was a very lovely quote. I think it's something, just remember as you're going through times, or think of Mario Lopez.
Name Your Adventure ran for like 4 seasons on Saturday morning TV. I mean, I thought that was quite the feat.
I hate you right now.
Okay, everybody, with that message of love, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And as always, remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day to all you Irish Latinos out there.
To those of you in the Midwest.
To our listeners, in the Midwest. And other countries that may celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Maybe there's somebody out there listening in Ireland.
But Dade County.
Maybe people in Broward.
Ay, porque hay tantas cosas verdes en el Dollar Tree.
Well, not anymore.
No, Dollar Tree's now in like the 4th of July.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. So everybody have a great weekend. See you all next week. Bye.